All right. So, yeah, can you tell me a little bit about your story with child protection?
All right, so I guess the quickest to the part that we discussed, the best way to explain it is my kids were taken from me not because of abuse or neglect, no findings of that, but because of they claimed I had a dirty home, which I just gave birth to my fourth child.
Mm.
So after they took the kids, they went to family. There was no court hearing, no nothing. It wasn't supposed to go that way. My kids were just supposed to go for the night so I could go to a doctor's and get checked out. They weren't even supposed to be taken.
So when when child protection, when they turned up, they told you this is just temporary, this is overnight, so you can go to a doctor's.
This is just an overnight thing, yeah.
Right. Okay. Go on.
So they went for overnight, and then they were supposed to come back and check our house the following morning just to make sure, it's up to code, whatever. And then the children were supposed to come home. It didn't happen that way. They already filed bright and early court papers to take the children.
Mm.
So the children never even got to be back in the home.
Right. How long ago did this occur?
I've been fighting this case for 5 years now.
5 years. Wow.
5 years.
And did it ever go to court?
It has. Like I said, right now we're actually now in federal court.
Oh, you are? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So something happened while your children were in care. Did they stay with family or did they actually move into the foster system?
My kids were bounced into 9 different homes.
Wow.
Right between family homes and then foster homes. And it's just, these foster homes weren't even approved through DCF yet. They were through a whole different foster system.
Okay. So one of the reasons why I reached out to you is something that occurred to your son while he was in foster care. Can you talk about that?
All right. So the incident with my son, it actually happened only 2 months in foster care. And it was through kinship care, actually. So it was a family member. This family member, which I didn't even know, DCF's supposed to do their whole investigation, things before background checks. Didn't know this family member even had past child abuse cases, criminal history of assault and all that, and drugs. So they put my son with my biological cousin. And for the first few weeks, we were unsupervised visitation. My fiance and I, we were allowed to go there whenever we wanted, as long as it was okay with the foster parents. We went every day. We brought food to all the homes like we normally did. We supported our kids. Clothes, food, toys, everything. So the foster parents never had to pay anything. But then all of a sudden, we couldn't reach them over the phone. They were never home, apparently. He was missing doctor's appointments, which we attended. He wasn't showing up even for visits with his siblings.
Right.
So I contacted our social workers through DCF, and I was like, you guys need to go out there. We're not getting any answers. His siblings aren't getting any answers. Where is he? And they're like, oh, he's fine. You're being over dramatic. And I said, go check him. Because if you don't, I'm sending the cops. So go check. And I was like, then I won't be responsible for my actions at that point. So a few months after they finally went to go check, they removed him from that home. For a little while, he had broken rib cage, cigarette burns on his arms,
Mm.
Brain damage behind his eyes. Both of his wrists were broken. He
Oh my
lost over,
God.
I think the doctor said he lost over 75% of his body weight. All right, fractured elbow, yes. Okay. And he lost a lot of weight. So, and the DCF worker is the one that actually took him from the home and brought him to my aunt's house. So this is his second time being moved. And neither of these people noticed the change in him. Not even the DCF worker. The DCF worker's like, oh, he's fine. And there were signs that he was flipping out, biting the foster parents. He was, acting out.
Mm.
And somehow that ended up having to be mine and his father's fault. And I'm like, well, we're not around, so how's that? But when they brought him over, I was like, what's wrong with my son? And the DCF worker's like, oh, there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, you're freaking lying. I'm like, how are you a DCF worker if you can't even know the real signs of abuse?
Mm.
So I got into an argument with the DCF worker, and I got into an argument with the foster parent, to the point where I literally had to, before I even left, I sat him down, I fed him along with his siblings, made sure he held it down. I checked his pulse and everything because I'm medically trained myself.
Mm.
And, cleaned him up, put him to bed. And then I had to call my sister. And I was like, you need to convince them to take him now. They won't listen to me. You need to convince them. I was like, you guys need to see him. So my sister went over there along with one of my other aunts. And they're like, yeah, he needs to go to the hospital now.
Mm.
So they took him to the hospital, an emergency room. And the hospital completely sent him over to the Children's Medical Center. At the Children's Medical Center is where he was finally diagnosed with all these issues. His father and I showed up as soon as we could get there. We faced nothing but criminal treatment from the hospital staff and our family members. Like, oh, this is your fault. We're like, how's it our fault? We weren't there.
Mm.
Really made to feel like shit during a time like that. And so they weren't going to let me stay with him. They weren't going to allow anyone to stay with him. They're like, oh, well, he has this hospital staff. I'm like, he's 18 months old.
He was 18 months old.
18 months old.
Wow.
And I was like, no, he needs family. I'm like, even if you want to let me, let somebody. My sister was more than willing to stay. And we're like begging. I'm like, no, someone has to stay with him. He can't be alone. They're like, oh, well, he has hospital staff. I don't care if he has hospital staff. He doesn't know them.
Yeah.
So it got like that to the point where I just hired my attorney. I fired my court-appointed one because he wasn't doing anything, and I hired my own. I hired a female attorney, which I felt a female attorney will understand a mother's point of view more than a male. So I called her right up, and I explained everything to her, deeply in tears. And I was just like, you don't understand. I sent her the pictures. I was like, they're treating me like a criminal. I'm not the one that did this. I was like, and they're not giving him the right treatment. The doctors didn't want to listen because they're like, oh, well, his foster parents were trying to say, oh, he's anorexic. I'm like, he's 18 months old. How's he anorexic?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you're giving him whole milk. And I was like, there's a reason his father and I were giving him soy milk, almond milk. He can't handle whole milk.
It's lactose intolerant?
Very. I was like, we bought him food. We did. I was like, we bought his clothes. Where is it going? I was like, I bring you guys like $300 worth of food every week between all these houses that our kids were in. I was like, you guys are providing nothing. What the hell is going on?
And this is all because they say you had a dirty house.
Yes, all because they said I had a dirty house, and then they tried to claim that I had postpartum depression, which was never proven. So, it was, my son had a soccer for this. So we went through that. Thankfully, one of the supervisors from a whole different unit who knew me very well. She was the supervisor that stayed, was from the voluntary services unit.
Yeah.
And she volunteered to stay overnight with me so I could be with him at least the first night.
Oh, that's good. That's beautiful.
At least. She was talking to me and she was telling me how disgusted she is from the other unit, because the unit I was dealing with was the unit she was at before she moved. And my social worker was actually someone she trained, and she goes, he should have known better. So she was really going off about him. So I'm speaking to the doctors, again, they're treating us like complete criminals, disrespectful. I'm like, okay, putting it aside, I'm like, so what's the plan? What medical papers do I need to sign for you guys to do proper treatment? So they put him on a whole dietary plan. They pretty much restarted his complete diet. He was not allowed to eat any solid food. He had to go completely back to stage 1.
Wow.
With baby food.
Was there a medical reason for why he'd lost so much weight, or was it?
He was starved.
He was starved.
He was starved. So we were buying all this food, and the food wasn't going to him unless we were there feeding it to him. But yeah, he lost it all because apparently he was starved. So we sat there. I fed him when I could be there. I held him that all first night. He fell asleep in my arms. I sang to him, changed his diapers, gave him a bath. And for a mother, who really loves the kids, this is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
They weren't sure if he was going to make it. They're like, he's failing to thrive. And I'm just like, oh my God. So it kept going on for a few months. I wasn't allowed to stay. And every time I had to go, just the look on his face hurt me more than anything. My hatred for these people grew. I had to tell him all the time I loved him. We made sure we brought him clothes, little snacks here and there that we know he could handle. Toys. We played with him for hours. And the thing that really got to me is DCF wasn't even listening to their own social workers' papers. Every time I was with him in the hospital, we had a social worker with us, and he's like, why isn't he home with you? Why do you have to leave? And I was like, you tell me that.
Yeah.
It's like, you tell me. And he's like, this isn't right. And these were from the voluntary services, and they're trained just like these other workers. Supposed to be. So you tell me how workers from the same agency, whatever you want to call it, are seeing two different things.
Yeah.
So I missed a lot of work. I work as a certified nursing assistant, so a state caregiver. I take care of people in these issues, just like my son, of all ages.
Yeah.
So I asked, I was like, well, why can't he come home? And they're like, because he needs medically trained people. And I said, I am medically trained. His siblings were missing. They would let other people come see him, but they wouldn't let his siblings. And he needed that.
What was their reasoning behind that?
It wasn't even that they were saying he's too young or they're too young. It was them saying pretty much that, trying to claim the whole thing that my kids had like germs or whatever, but yet other people could come in that weren't even related to him.
That's weird.
He had a lot of RSV. I don't know if you know what that is.
I don't.
It's a lung illness. You could get very sick. It's a respiratory issue.
Okay.
And it can lead to pneumonia. He's had that a few times. He was never diagnosed with seizures, and because of the incident in DCF care and the DCF worker, he now has seizures. So we had to get medically trained with seizures and special medication. Let's see, the only thing he was born with was low muscle tone in his stomach, which took him a while to learn to sit up properly, but I had him in birth to 3, which was helping him with that. but he had no other issues. No asthma, none of that besides that and the lactose intolerant. So he was completely healthy. When he was home with me, he weighed close to 90 pounds, not 90, 45 or something for his age. And then most of that was gone. He was down to like newborn weight.
Wow. So and we're gonna show the pictures on the video as you're speaking, because they're just horrifying. And it's such a short time. How long was it that he was in care when this happened? Like
2 months.
From 2 months. So they pretty much just
and it's only been a month. He was in care for 2 months, and it was only a month since we haven't been able to see him.
Has Child Protection Services have they apologised? Have they explained themselves? Have they? I don't.
No, they have not. And the thing is, the social worker that was responsible, he goes up to my attorney and he's like, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Your sorry does nothing for me." I was like, "How do you even have a job?" I'm like, "You're a father yourself. What if this was your kid? Would you take I'm sorry?"
Any parent who sees your son and the state that he was left in by Child Protection, I mean, if this was a parent, we absolutely would all support removing all children from that parent. And, to me, this is what needs to happen. The state is not looking after children.
And that's the thing. Like, I discussed it with him, and I said, you know what? If that was me, even if it wasn't to my own kid, I would have lost my kids. You would have came right in.
Yep.
I'm like, because you're a caseworker and these weren't your kids that you did it to, you get to keep your family? No.
No.
And I was like, and I was reporting to you. I was addressing my concerns with you. And you were laughing at it, calling it family drama with your supervisor. And this was at the Norwich DCF office. And I'm like, you guys think it's freaking funny, and it's not. So I did lose my temper with a few times after that. My fiance and I, we had to get psychological evals done. And they were like, "Oh, well, your psychological eval says that you're angry. Your psychological bill says you had depression." And I said, "Wouldn't you?"
Yep. After what they've done.
Wouldn't you going through what I went through? And I said, not only are you bringing up that, but you made me talk about my rape. So you're bringing up very hard situations, and you don't understand that these are normal feelings for the given situation. Some reason we have mental issues because we're hurting or because we're angry for what happened to our children. And I was like, plus, children were never harmed in our care.
Yeah.
It was in your care.
I mean, when they say you had a dirty house, and look, I don't care if your house was dirty, because I don't, to me, that's not a child removal issue, unless it's like, but tell me, and I don't know anything about your story there, but what was your house like? Can you, what way were they saying it was dirty?
So going off of her narrative and then going off of what actually was happening, because I even submitted pictures of my house to the court as evidence. And
I'm hoping you can send me those, and I'll show them here as well.
I can send you everything.
Yeah.
So I had a 2-bedroom house, 2-bedroom apartment. With the economy right now, it was very hard. At the first removal, I just had 4 kids. My youngest wasn't born yet. So I had the newborn in my room, newborn babies. And then in the other room, I had my 4-year-old daughter. She was 4. My oldest was 4 at the time. And then I had my 3-year-old son, and then my 18-month-old. There was toddler beds in a crib. We had the 2 dressers. We had some tables, toys. They had a whole bunch of toys. Their drawers were full of clothes. When they said it was dirty, they tried to say there was food all over the floor, not taking into consideration, or she didn't even mention the fact, I just fed my kids lunch. 4 3-year-olds and 18 months, they're messy.
Yes, they are.
They're messy. She tried to complain about the little toilets, those training toilets.
Yep.
She tried to complain about them because I haven't got the chance to clean them yet, and I was still potty training. My kids are special needs children. So they were in birth to 3 to help them with their motor skills and their speech and all that. So potty training took a while.
What, did you mind if I ask what special needs they have? Like, as in what diagnosis they are?
My oldest, she has, well, at first she only had a speech delay. But now because of DCF, she also has depression, anxiety. She has attachment disorders. So DCF has done a lot of harm to her. My second child, my oldest son, he has also the speech delay, but he has ADHD and he's autistic, borderline.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, of course, my one that got hurt, I was explaining to you, he has that motor skills with his stomach. And all that. So they were taking a while. And then my newborn baby has hydrocephalus.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you know what that is.
No. Something
it's
to do with
fluid
water?
brain.
Oh,
Fluid
right. Wow, okay.
And if they're hit the wrong way, they can die, kind of. And their mental capability takes a while to develop. And it runs in my family. I have a 26-year-old brother with the mind of a 9-year-old, and who has that issue. So my kids being special needs, their learning takes a while. They're very smart, but it takes a while to adapt.
Yep.
My oldest son also has now depression and anxiety because of DCF. So they're all facing these issues. And so, yeah, they were potty training. It was a hot day in June. It was actually June 12th. I remember the day very well, of 2015. So they're running around in diapers, T-shirts, underwear.
Yep.
I had a fan in the window, trying to keep it cool.
What was the temperature? Do you remember?
Outside or in?
Oh, well, either. Just, yeah, I mean, you may not remember.
It was a very, hot day for Connecticut. Like, one of our hottest. Like, you could go crack an egg on the sidewalk kind of hot.
Oh, wow. Okay, yep.
So, where we were, I was trying to keep the breeze coming in. She didn't like that very much. She's like, oh, well, you're letting your kids running around. Yeah, they're babies.
I mean, they're 3 and under,
3 and 4.
Who doesn't in summer? Yeah.
I was like, it's not like they're out and about like that. And I was like, and plus 2 of my kids are boys. They walk around with their shirt off even when they're adults.
Yeah. Yep.
I was home alone. Like I said, it was just 2 weeks. I've had a very hard delivery of my youngest child at the time. Well, she's not my youngest now, but my second daughter. And I had a lot going on with her, even emotionally, because she was a product of rape. So it was kind of hard.
Oh, wow.
And I could have lost her, and I could have lost my own life. So she wasn't even supposed to be born yet. So
she was premature?
Yes, she was. She was 2 months premature.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so she was very little. She was breastfed and everything. So trying to breastfeed while you're taking care of 3 small toddlers.
You had a lot on your plate.
Yes. Their father was out with his mother just grabbing the rest of our stuff from Massachusetts. Because she was moving. So I was home and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And she was very friendly about it too at first. They just closed the case 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
So so the DCF worker came in 2 weeks prior and was like, I just needed to make sure the kids are all right. She saw the kids. She goes, okay, your case is closed.
Okay.
And later 2 weeks comes back.
And removes the kids.
And removes the kids.
With no... Wow. Okay.
They claimed that they came because someone from the doctor's office says I was driving a green truck unsafe with my kids. I don't even own a green truck, nor do I have my license. Definitely was not driving. I owned a black Jeep at the time.
Okay.
And she says, and the story was weird because it made it sound like the person that reported it was like stalking me, like following around the building. Because she said I walked down the street and then got into the truck.
Okay.
So when she was talking about it, I was like, well, how did she know that if I did it?
Yeah.
That's
like so strange.
I took her outside after my niece showed up because she made me call family. My niece came to pick up my kids, and I was like, this is my car. Like, as you can see, it is not a green truck. It is a black Jeep.
Mm.
And I was like, I can show you the paperwork. Like, this is a Jeep.
Mm.
I was like, I showed you the car seat, and the whole reason the anonymous caller even called is because I didn't go into the doctor's office with a car seat. I took my baby out of the car seat and brought her in that way.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Okay, well, many mothers do.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, man. So, and you had car seats for all the kids, I take it?
I had car seats and everything. So I was just like, wait a minute, just because you...
That's terrible. So you're fighting this in... So I take it you've gone through state court and everything, so now you're fighting it in federal. Yeah, well, I wish you the best of luck, and yeah, thank you for telling your story. It's we need to get these stories out there. I don't think people understand how easily children are removed for nothing, and then what they suffer once they're removed.
There doesn't
so
even
thank
have to
you.
be true. Exactly.
All right, so we're going to take a break and then head into the questions. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
We do short and in-depth videos on child protection practices. We also interview parents who tell us of their experience with child protection, as well as interviews with experts in the field. Please subscribe, hit the bell, and visit our website. See our description for more links.